I've never really met the real Lori Triplet, to be honest, because since I've met her, she has been in pain every single day. But the Lori Triplet before sounds like an amazing woman. You know, she was born in a small town, 800 people in Missouri, has never left. Her and her husband, Dennis, they, worked for small companies. They had a little small shop in town. Then they started to buy small houses, cheap houses, and fix them up and make them better, sell them, make about $10,000, $20,000. She loved this. She loved this side job. Sadly, her husband, Dennis, they had 2 kids. Her husband, Dennis, passed away from cancer in early 2000. But instead of sulking, she dove into her work. She took over the house flipping business and absolutely loved it. She'd be the one who would climb up on the top of the roof to fix the shingles. She'd climb underneath the house to fix any air conditioning issues, to clean out the fix foundation. She was the one that her workers would look at her exhausted and she'd keep going. She's like, no, we're getting this done. That's the type of woman she was. She loves her work and loves her family. And she works 7 days a week working on these houses because that's what she has. That's all she has at this point. I mean, that's what she does for work. But when this fall happened, she tried to go back to work. The first time she tried to climb a ladder, she had to immediately get off it because her back went out. She now has to sit on the porch, hire people to do all the work. She watches them. She can't do anything about it. She can't climb on the roof. She can't crawl underneath the house. She can't do the things she loved doing the most, and she won't be able to ever again. But she doesn't give up. She just started doing PRP injections. She still goes to physical therapy. She wants to beat this. Even though her doctors tell her it's unbeatable, she will not give up. What we can do is, you typically in a case like this, you can pay for medical costs and lost income, but we're not going to claim any of those. We've decided those go to someone else. This is not what this case is about. We're not asking for medical costs or lost income. What we're asking for is the things that cannot be fixed but helped. And those are the future care. So Dr. Mobin, we ask him, he says, look, she's gonna have back problems the rest of her life. Everyone agrees with that. She's gonna need 6 to 10 epidural injections, facet block injections. He's gonna talk about all these things that she's probably gonna need the rest of her life. And for the rest of her life, it's gonna be about $300,000 to $500,000 for her future care. But what about the things that you can't help or you can't fix, but to make up for the fact that she will never be that woman fixing these houses again, to make up for the fact that when she sees her grandchildren and they ask her, hey, grandmommy, can you hold me? Can you pick me up? And she'll say, no, sweetie, my back hurts too bad. Those things that you can't replace with money, those are the things that we are going to ask for, and for the rest of her life. And it's going to be in the millions of dollars because of what LAX did, because they chose to violate their safety rules. Our world for this case is the Los Angeles International Airport. And at women's restroom 206 in Terminal 1 is being remodeled. And one of the contractors says to the other, says, we have this tile. Are we sure that this is the right tile for the restroom? Do we need to test it or make sure that this is the right tile we're supposed to install in restrooms as opposed to putting it up on the wall? And the LAX contractor says, that we don't really have a system. We can just kind of eyeball it and say, all right, that looks good.
In my opinion, tile that's chosen for use in a wet location should meet certain slip coefficient criteria, whatever they are.
Okay, so he agrees with the industry, 0.5 and above. That's the standard. And then we ask him about restrooms, places that get wet. And here's what he had to say at LAX.
Generically, in environments that are subject to moisture or ponding water, you want a tile that resists slip, provides grip and friction.
Why is that?
Reduce slip falls.
To reduce injuries?
Sure.
In your opinion, should the tile in a restroom at LAX be slip resistant?
Yes.
Okay. So we have the standard in the industry, LAX's standard. We even got a hold of their public restroom design guidelines for Los Angeles world airports put out by the city. And specifically when it comes to floors, it says floor finishes shall be durable and non-slippery. You know, they're going to say, look, we didn't spill the coffee. Ultimately, it's the person who spilled the coffee. Well, folks, this goes to foreseeability. This is a big, huge organization. This is the city of Los Angeles, the LAX airport, one of the busiest airports in the world. They know that they have thousands of people that go through that restroom on a daily basis. They know that people carry items in the restroom, liquid. They know that their toilets overflow, that sinks spill over, that liquid gets on the ground. They admit that. So yes, they didn't spill the coffee, but they sure knew that liquid was going to get on that floor at some point, no matter what. And that's why, just to make it safe, it's so simple. You just put slip resistant tile in there, but they failed to do that. A good comparison of spines that is, you can have an eggshell or an orange. So say the eggshell and the orange drop from the exact same height as where Laurie Triplett fell. The eggshell is obviously going to crack and splatter everywhere. The orange is not even going to look like it touched the ground. It's going to be totally fine. And some people just simply have an orange spine, have a spine that is just flexible. Everything's intact. It's not flimsy. It's not fragile. But other people have an eggshell type spine. And he's going to tell us that here, Laurie Triplett had an eggshell spine. So what happened is that when she fell, the disc compressed, that the disc you see here, this is from an MRI taken a couple months after the fall. You see where that X is and that arrow, that's the disc bulging onto the spinal cord because of the compression from the fall. And so when she fell, that's what happened to her spine. And then her hip was contorted in such a way that she had a tear in a labral tear in her hip because she tore a bunch of muscles, and that caused a labral tear in her hip. And that's why that would explain the shooting pain in her hip, and the disc on the spine would explain the shooting pain she got down her leg. So this all happened because she fell with a lot of force from slipping on the ground.
How about if somebody was to say, well, Dan, why would you risk using hypothetical dialogue if that's not going to be the testimony that comes in? Aren't you worried that might hurt your credibility? How would you respond?
I was looking back at this, I was thinking about that too. But I think if you have actual testimony from someone who was like the PMK here saying what exactly their procedure is, I think you could get away with it. I think you can, because I could just say, look, this is what they said they did. This is exactly what they said their procedures are. So hypothetically, this is probably what happened. What do you think?
Well, I think logically, if it follows and that if people could extrapolate that conversation from the evidence, that's fine, because nobody remembers what you said exactly anyways. It's generally the idea that they just didn't give a shit about tile and the safety of it, and that's what's communicated. What kind of pre-work did you do to get ready for the Voir Dire? I mean, did you do focus groups on this? Did you have a jury questionnaire? Did you do any research on these jurors before you start questioning them?
So that's a really good question. So no, this one we did not do focus groups. Obviously, like now I do multiple focus groups per trial. This one was 4 years ago. I don't know why we didn't do it. Teresa, do you remember? I mean, we just hadn't done them before, and I obviously do. Like I said, I do them now. But no, there was no focus group. None of that. My Voir Dire came a lot from Trial Lawyers College and your programs, to be honest. Just doing those, doing them for my team, just practicing all those as much as possible.